Hello, I'm Writes On. I'm about to read you an excerpt from Beth Rist's book. Beth Rist, who was a former police officer in Ironton, Ohio, and then went on to be city council, voted to her seat 3 times by the citizen. At that time, Mike Lutz was the vice mayor. Here we go. My colleague and friend called me at 11:30 p.m. on Father's Day 2012. I was at my neighbor's house, Kendall Adams, and her husband Robert. They witnessed me get the call, and I immediately got up and said, "The vice mayor wants to come over and swim." So I ran across the street to my house, not believing that I was going to become friends with him, and my dark days were over. He brought his girlfriend, and they had some tequila shots, and I had been out in the sun all day, so was drinking Mountain Dew. I was exhausted and really didn't feel like company, but this was my boss. After an hour, his girlfriend said she forgot her cigarettes at the house and said she would be right back. I told them I was tired and wanted to go to bed, so they left, and I went inside to prepare for bed, feeding my dogs and such. I heard a knock at the door, and when I opened it, it was him. He said, "I forgot my cooler," and I said, "I will get it. It is in the kitchen." He came in the door and shut it. He started toward me and said, "I'm going to convert you, bitch, and you are going to like it." Everything happened so fast that I was in shock. He kept grabbing my breast painfully and kept plunging his body into mine. I remember looking at the ceiling fan and thinking, "Oh no, you are not." He ripped me open, and after a minute, I kicked him across the room. He got up and ran out the door, leaving his shorts behind. I immediately locked the door and got my gun and slept with it on my chest that night. The next morning, I was sore, and I found it hard to breathe. I laid in bed all day not knowing what to do, thinking, "No one will believe you, Beth." Then I thought, that is exactly what he is counting on. So I went to Kendall's for dinner, and I couldn't eat, so I just sat there. Do I tell her or not? I'm so ashamed. What have I done to be a victim of rape? I was in my own home. There were witnesses as to him being there. By that evening, I was covered in bruises and could barely sit. Kendall said, "What is wrong with you? You haven't said a word." I broke down weeping and told her what had happened. She started cursing like she does and whisked me away to Belafonte Hospital. There was a counselor there to talk with me, and they did a rape kit and prepared it for an officer to come pick up, process, and send it off. Sergeant Joe Ross came to the hospital to get the rape kit and process it. Kendall said, "How do we know he will do what he's supposed to do with it?" The nurse said that they had the results and they would be protected. The next day, I was called by the Ohio State Patrol to come into their headquarters in South Point, Ohio, to be interviewed by BCI. I called attorney Warren Butch Morford Jr., my attorney that represented me against the city. He did not hesitate, as I was so very glad to see him. My attorney and I went into an interrogation room with BCI investigators for an interview. They asked me several questions, and I was numb and didn't answer. Then when the investigator asked me if I was injured, I looked at my attorney, and he said it was okay. My attorney had no knowledge about anything yet. My attorney knew me, and he knew what type of person I am, so he trusted me to say whatever came out of my mouth. I quietly said, "Do I have any injuries?" I simply raised up my shirt and showed them my breast. I could not even put on a bra, so they stopped the interview as I was in distress. How could this have happened to me? I was a strong female cop. Why could I not have protected myself? Then they took pictures, and those pictures are on file with the Bureau of Investigations of Ohio. Sergeant Jimmy Akers Sr. was the only officer who had the balls to go arrest the vice mayor on my behalf. Rest in peace, Jimmy. Thereafter, it finally went to the grand jury in Ironton. They had hunted down my girlfriend before this happened to get a statement from them. Well, of course they were going to be bad because nothing ends unless it ends badly. The prosecutor was from Ironton, and they even let my neighbor across the street sit on the jury. That is not protocol. After a short day breaking for lunch and after testimony, they did not indict him. It was me against the man, the vice mayor, and the city once again. I was devastated and had to sit 2 seats away from him in council meetings afterward. Every time he slammed that gavel, my heart jumped out of my chest. He later resigned after the accusations wore him down. However, I continued my career until 2021, November 30th. Just having to be in the same room with the very man raped me was difficult enough, but the hearing of the Pledge of Allegiance each night prior to the meeting was unbearable. He got out of sexual assault of an elected official, and nothing was ever said again. I only showed my bruised and battered body to 3 people after that: my neighbors and my friend and colleague, Bob Cleary. I have been in therapy for a while and becoming stronger every day. I knew how to defend myself. I knew what to do, but I was in such shock. I could not move. Today I am in pursuit of justice in reference to a civil suit against Mike Lutz. I did not have the strength after that to proceed, but I do now. I have all the records confirming it was his DNA in me, on me, and around me that dreadful summer night. I will simply leave the story for the attorneys to bicker over, as I am done being a victim. Not once by the city, not twice by the city, but a 3rd time from the very government that had ruined my life. So to all the people in Ironton that kept voting me into office, I thank you from my whole heart. It is what it is. Nothing more, nothing else. And just a side note that I would like to add, Mike Lutz of Ironton, Ohio, has also been sliding into the DMs of females in the Ironton area and the tri-state area. Seems to be a certain type of female that he likes to contact, someone who doesn't seem like they have a very good support system, possibly has a drug past, and he likes to use his drug counsel. He's a drug counselor, so he likes to use that as a lead, I guess. But he also likes to tell these women that his brother's wealthy. Why that matters, I really don't know. But he seems to tell them that as he's asking them to meet him somewhere. So for all you females that live in that area, Mike Lutz, Lutz, if he slides into your DMs, I would just slide him back out because he's a piece of shit. This is Rights On. Your rights are always on.